Welcome to the Industrial Talk Podcast with Scott McKenzie. Scott is a passionate industry professional dedicated to transferring cutting-edge, industry-focused innovations and trends while highlighting the men and women who keep the world moving. So put on your hard hat, grab your work boots, and let's go.
All right, welcome to the Industrial Talk Podcast, where we celebrate industry heroes such as yourself. You are bold, you're brave, you dare greatly. You're changing the world and you're changing lives. That's why we celebrate you on this particular podcast. Now, this is going to be a series. Now, and of course, I'm super geeky about all this stuff. This is utility stuff. This is power stuff. This is energy stuff. This is Brave New World stuff. And this is stuff that is pushing the edge of innovation. We're going to be talking to a gentleman by the name of John Glassmire, and he is with Hitachi ABB Power Grids, and we're gonna start this series, and we're gonna be talking about what it looks like, this brave new future. You know, I turn on my lights and it happens. He's got a great story to tell. Let's get cracking. Yep. Okay, you know I love this stuff. Old lineman as myself, I remembered that. You know, it was pretty simple back then when you'd have these big old doggone generators put right at the edge, typically by water, whatever, pushing power, and it was pretty straightforward. And now we're venturing into a brave new world for power generation, utility, grid management, and how do you pull all that stuff together and make it a product that we take for granted. So I walk into a room, flip on a light switch, boop, it happens. And John with Hitachi ABB Power Grid and others are asking those questions because it is very cool. Before we get into the interview, I want to make sure that you have these two events on your calendar. The first one's IoT Solutions World Congress. This is October 5th through the 7th. I am hopefully broadcasting from that location at that time. Spectacular event brought to you by the Industrial Internet Consortium and FERA Barcelona. Both organizations put on a great event. Let's get our life back in order. The next one is the Manufacturing and Technology Show. This is November 9th through the 11th. It's up in the beautiful town of Cleveland. Put that on your bucket list because it is a great location. And they're going to bring about some great, information about manufacturing technology. And once again, let's get our life back in order because this is a special time. All right, let's get on with John. Now, again, John brings, a semi-load of experience within Power Grid. And of course, when we start talking about attaching additional grid, when we're starting to talk about what is taking place within a lot of the management of fossil fuels versus energy and vice versa, and what do we do and how do we do it, and the market saying, hey, yeah, I want more of this. What do we do? How do we respond? How do we ensure that the quality of our power is there because we've got all this technology, and yet be able to implement renewables, implement the innovation that is taking place out there. John and his team at Hitachi ABB are doing it. Now, we're going to be doing a little quick cast because this is heavy stuff, and we want to make sure that we can consume it. So these are about 10 minutes or less, give or take a few. Now, we're going to be talking on this particular conversation about the grid edge. So enjoy. John, welcome to the Industrial Talk Podcast. I'm looking forward to this conversation because, listeners, I'm a big geek when it comes to anything utility, anything generation, and John brings, well, all of that. How you doing, John?
Great. Thanks, Scott, for having me here. I can't say I'm as excited as you, but I'm pretty darn excited.
Wow. Yeah, man, you're going to bring me down now. All of a sudden, you're going to bring me down.
Did I bring you down?
No, yeah. I was just, no, you didn't. Give me a break. All right, for the listeners out there, give us a little background, a little 411 on who John is.
Hi. I am a senior advisor in Grid Edge Solutions with Hitachi ABB Power Grids. And you may be wondering what on earth Grid Edge Solutions is. I believe we're going to talk about that today, so I won't spend too much time.
But don't blow it.
I work for Hitachi ABB Power Grids, as well as I'm a professor, affiliate faculty at the University of Washington in distributed renewable power systems.
Is that at a University of Washington? It's what is it?
The Huskies out of Seattle.
The Huskies. Fantastic football stadium.
Oh, it's a beautiful football stadium.
Fantastic.
Have you been?
No, I've heard about boats coming up on it. It's like, hey, the water.
What'll happen is the boats will go out. They'll get lunch out in Ballard, and then they'll boat over through the channel and park right out there for the games.
All right. These are quick casts. We're going to be talking a lot about just on topics, one topic at a time. So we're not going to be impacting your day. If you're listening, that's what we're going to be talking about. Let's broach the subject of grid edge. What is that?
Grid edge. So you may be familiar with the term edge computing. It's the power utility equivalent of that. So the idea is, if you look over the 120, 30 plus years of power utility that have brought electricity all over North America, this is a little bit of a rethinking of that. It's rather than that centralized power plant idea, grid edge flips it on its head and talks about bringing power in from the edge. So it's enabling not just the power out there, but all the smarts and all this intelligence related to that. So that would include things, buzzwords that you might hear related to this are microgrids, battery energy storage systems, distributed energy resources or DERs. There's a whole bunch of things. Solar photovoltaics, they're big in this space too, if you know that, getting your power from the sun.
For me, we take it for granted that when I flip the switch, boom, power's good, light's good. I've got equipment here. It doesn't like fluctuations in any of the cycles or anything. It wants clean, consistent power. How is grid edge helping me achieve that, or achieving my renewable whatever targets versus how is that helping me?
Yep. So that's a great point. We're at Hitachi ABB Power Grids, or just more broadly within the power industry, reliability has been the cornerstone of that. You say you flip the light, it comes on. That is awesome, and that is something that we highly, highly value. So we talk about reliability, resiliency. So that's so you have this idea of the light, you flip the light on, it comes on, but what if there is some big dramatic event that hits you? Say there's a superstorm, a hurricane, an earthquake. With these sorts of grid edge technologies, where you're getting your power is close to you. So there's an expectation that you'll be able to have not only reliability, but also resiliency. You're also figuring out and bringing in some of the automation and controls affiliated with this type of stuff, so that if you want to get your power from lots of renewables, get, say, all of your energy from renewables, it provides the power electronics, the controls, the automation, all that stuff you need. So you don't have to worry about it.
You're saying that if I want to get my lights today from wind, well, for lack of a better term, right there.
Right.
You're saying the automation or the technology out there tells me that I am getting it from wind?
Well, if you do it right, yes, that's right. If you do it right, you have designed it from the get-go with reliability in mind, and you can do that. You can run your power system 100% on renewables if you want. We often look at that, and you may not want that. We like to question, where do you get your power? We definitely, if you want to do that, we can enable you to do that. If you want to focus completely on reliability, if you want to focus on low cost, if you want to do some compromise or some way to maximize across all those different considerations of reliability, cost, renewable, environment type thing, you can do that with grid edge solutions. They really allow you to do that.
See, now that's interesting. What was the tipping point? Like all of a sudden, traditional utility business model, right? Big generation, pushing it through wires, bringing it on down to substations, and it's just right to the house. But it was just big stuff. What was that tipping point where if somebody says, hey, I can have a microgrid, I can do this, I can do that. But as we continue to do this and that, it requires greater sophistication from a digital point of view, right?
That's right. Digitalization.
What was that tipping point?
So, actually, I think it's interesting. I don't I haven't really thought about it in those terms of a tipping point. I've thought of it more like a locomotive getting up to speed. There's just been sort of momentum building around this. There have certainly been some big moments, some we're going to use an watershed type moments. Things like the price of solar panels, solar photovoltaic panels, coming down consistently. I mean, you think about that 10 years ago, the price of solar panels were about somewhere in the neighborhood of 5 to 10 times what they are today. You look at the batteries that go into some of these, big. You'll hear it called in the common media, the batteries in the utility network. If you get in the technical terms, they're battery energy storage systems. The price of the batteries that go inside those have come down. I think 5 years ago they were maybe $3,000 a kilowatt hour. They're also down by about an order of magnitude. So you can get the batteries that go in for, nominally around a tenth of that today. So there's been these massive swings, and of course, you'd be remiss not to talk about the computer revolution that's been ongoing.
Yeah, see, that's whole that Industry 4.0, that whole innovation, that one day we couldn't do it. Today we can. It's all cloud. It's edge. It's this. It's that. And we're doing, data analytics. We're just popping and snapping and all of that stuff. To your point, Tesla has come out with a electric car, and I think the price point on it is $19,000. And wow. It's the economics that is, from my perspective, driving this. If the economics continue to be pushed down and makes it more viable, utilities as a whole have no excuse. They've got to figure something out. And that's where Hitachi Power Grid comes into play, because your organization makes sure that my lights don't flicker.
Yep, it's all well and good to have an electric vehicle, but you talk about wanting your lights to come on. I guarantee you, if you've got a vehicle that's powered by it, you definitely want that power there when you need it. And with these grid edge technologies, you can have that assurance. You can have the assurance of the utility with an additional security layer right there. You can have some backup at your house, at your business, in your community, all these different layers of where you get your power from and where you get your reliability from. Those can all be brought together under this portfolio of solutions.
And the bottom line, it's happening.
It's happening.
You either play or you just move aside, because it's like your train analogy. It's happening.
Yep.
Chugging down that train, and it's only going to go faster. It's only going to be. It's just going to happen. You better be a part of that whole game.
You got to be a part of it, and you'd be remiss not to talk about just. It's not just the cost of these things. It's also people are demanding it. People want their energy to come from renewable sources. Many people are worried about climate change.
Yeah.
There's all these considerations that are, you hear it in the remaking the backbone into the renewable backbone, the backbone of the grid into the renewable backbone, or this full decarbonization of society, electrify everything. All these things fit under that. We want to use renewables to power more of our lives and make sure that we can get our modern energy services, the things that power our lives, from those sources in a reliable, clean, low-cost way.
All right. We got to wrap it up.
Sir.
John Glassmire. Did I get that? Meyer?
You did. Yes, sir.
A home run again, Glassmire. All right. Hitachi Power Grids is the organization. John, how do they get a hold of you?
You can email me. I assume you'll pop it up on the site, and probably reach out. I'm also on LinkedIn. You name it, I'm here to listen.
All right, dead sexy conversation. We're gonna continue this sort of these quick casts type of things that wrap around this whole utility, energy, power grid. The reason for that is because it's the only way we're going to be able to consume this, because it's pretty damn sophisticated. All right, we're going to wrap it up on the other side. You're going to have all the contact information for John and anything else. Thank you very much for joining the Industrial Talk podcast. We will be right back.
You're listening to the Industrial Talk Podcast Network.
All right, that's number one. And as you can see, that This is interesting from my perspective, and hopefully from your perspective as you are in industry, because this will impact you, how we address power, how we address energy, how we address the grid, how do we create a stable environment such as that. I'm telling you, it's an exciting time. And I don't know what the future holds, but people like John and company, boom, they know what's going on, and that's pretty exciting. All right, again, we have an event October 5th through the 7th, IoT Solutions World Congress, brought to you by those incredible folks at Industrial Internet Consortium, as well as FARA Barcelona. Both organizations put on a fabulous event. So, put that on your bucket list. Barcelona's a great place. And also, let's go, let's do a November 9th through the 11th. This is in Cleveland, Ohio. This is the Manufacturing and Technology Show. Both great opportunities. All right, be bold, be brave, dare greatly. Change the world. Thank you for joining the Industrial Talk Podcast.